occasions such as this, a third person becomes a little superfluous. Satyajit Ray and Marlon Brando hardly need a formal introduction to television, radio, or any other kind of audience anywhere in the world, which is why we are so proud, happy, and honored to have you in the studios of All India Radio today, and to have you together, which is, I think, rather a unique feature. Now, before I hand over the floor to you completely, I have a little request to make. I think it can be said that you both belong to the same generation in films, and I think you share certain qualities which I would describe as artistic devotion and intellectual integrity in your work. I also find that you are very well acquainted with each other's films. I think it would be fascinating if sometime in the course of this discussion you told us a little about what you think of each other's films. Mr. Ray.
Well, first of all, Mr. Brando, it's been a great...
Why don't you call me Marlon?
All right, Marlon. Marlon, all right, Marlon. Well, Marlon, it's been a great pleasure and a great sort of surprise also to find you here in Delhi. What has brought you here, may I ask?
Well, I wasn't prepared to make a speech.
Well, as briefly as...
Yes, well, briefly, it's, I'm here as sort of on a survey on behalf of the United Nations UNICEF program, which is interested in seeing what artists will make themselves available for a show that we're going to put on, hopefully in the United Nations General Assembly very soon on behalf of UNICEF, and we hope to get the very best artists from all over the world, as well as some of the children who have participated in the UNICEF programs in that they have received benefits from UNICEF, and also have the children participate in the program. And so far we've met with a great deal of success, and we look forward to a very prestigious occasion in which people from all parts of the social spectrum will be there, and it would be wonderful if this could go on yearly. And 500 million people, that's the population of India, will see this show.
Oh, yes.
That's not to say that everyone in India will see it, but it will be released here through television, I'm sure. But it will be broadcast via the Telstar and go through all the television networks. And it'll be absolutely a unique program. And there's never been one of its kind where you've had the very best entertainers, artists, dancers, singers, writers, etc. Together.
Sounds very
for the same purpose.
Interesting, and
I hope it comes.
an important thing to do. Well, I'm sure something will come out of it. That means that you're not sort of making any films at the moment on your own. I mean,
no, we have a second. The second part of my program is to see whether or not the various governments, I having traveled to Europe and Africa and the Middle East, and now India and Southeast Asia, I'm here to see whether there is not an interest on the part of the governments in the particular area to use artists for a means of communicating the things, government programs, such as food production and or health, but not in a documentary way, in a very entertaining way.
Yes, I think it's always a better way.
Yes, if people are...
to think of the audience in the wider sense, particularly in India.
Yeah. And if people are lectured to, they don't like to hear.
Yeah,
you know, they want to be entertained, and if they can be informed at the same time they're entertained, it's the best of both possible worlds.
And this is going to keep you away from the States for quite some time now, I believe.
Well,
I have a long tour ahead of you.
Yeah. Very long tour. I hope to go to South America with this tour. I will stop off and lie down for 10 minutes in Los Angeles and then take a breath and go on again.
Just take a breath, not make a film?
No, I work for a living, and I do that when I have to.
Fine. What was the last film you made? It was the Chaplin one, wasn't it?
No, it was a film with Elizabeth Taylor, and it was called Reflections in the Golden Eye. It was taken from a novel by...
Is that John Huston's film?
That's right.
Oh, yes.
How do you know?
Well, I sort of know, you know. They're not secret, are they?
No, but as a matter of fact, I was... they are almost secret in many ways. I didn't want to argue with you when you were introducing this, but we do need introduction in the world over. See, we are known in urban areas. Everybody knows Satyajit Ray in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. And I suppose there are some people who know me in New Delhi and Calcutta. But in Des Moines, Iowa, I don't know whether anyone would know him except through the magazines, the articles that have been written about him in American press, or would they know me in the village. But I'm always amazed at the number of people that are familiar with figures.
In the know of things.
Yes.
Yes.
And,
well, you know, the world's become shorter, communication and all that, film magazines.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a great admirer of your work. I missed your first one. Was it The Men by
yes, it was The Men.
And then you had Streetcar Named Desire, wasn't it? Was that the second one?
Yeah, when I was a young man. Did all that many years ago. We, unfortunately, in America, more and more we're getting foreign films shown to us on television and in our theaters. The market is changing. The interests of the people are changing. It's amazing how a film such as yours, say 10 years ago, we've never thought of having an Indian film. You know, maybe a special one here and there. But when you make Panta Panjali in the world of Apu and Aparajito, the whole world of Indian film seemed to crack open. And then it shut down. They were enormous success. Everybody was really enthused about your film. They were really beautiful films and very touching. And it's, you know, it's a polite thing to say, but it's also something that I feel personally that I've looked forward to meeting you and been very interested to compare the artist with the man. And but sometimes they're not the same at all.
Well, I won't ask you what the comparison has turned out to be.
Well, it's congruent in this case.
Oh, I see. Thank you again.
But we don't see enough of your films, and when I get back, I'm certainly going to try to. I want to see your films in Calcutta. If you're going to be there for a couple of days.
Yes, I think I could screen some for you. Some of the recent ones.
What are the ones that you like the best?
Well, there's one called Charulata, which is based on a Tagore short story.
Charulata.
Yeah, it's the name of the woman, the main part. Charlotta, that's what some Frenchman called Charulata. But that, I think, is quite a satisfactory film. And there's one about present day. This is 19th century, you see. This is 19th century setting. The Renaissance, Bengal, as we call it, when there was a great sort of political consciousness among the intellectuals. The first political newspapers coming out, etc. That period, you see. It's a love story, very Chekhovian, you see. Mm-hmm. And a few others. I'll try. Well, there's Mahanagar, the great city, which is about present-day Calcutta, middle class. Jobs, problems, etc. And there's a recent one, my most recent one is called Nayak, which means the hero, which is about a film star, top-ranking Mahanagar.
You take revenge?
Not quite. It's a very sympathetic treatment.
Director's revenge.
That's an original story, incidentally, and I've got the top-ranking Bengali actor playing in that. I'd like to see that.
I like it. I'd like to see it. I was interested in this film that you said that you made that dealt with jobs and social conditions. Mm-hmm. I'm always surprised to find how much influence for change or investigation is brought about by films nowadays. People are becoming extremely conscious of films, and I think, you know, that we perhaps don't use our responsibilities correctly, and well, as you do.
Well, it's not so fashionable in the West anymore to make social propaganda, you know, particularly. You know, you have, that's considered to be the domain of a certain propagandistically inclined countries, you see. In France, you rarely find anything which touches on social problems in quite that sense.
Well, unfortunately, here in India...
Well, it's required, I think, to a certain extent, up to a point.
But I don't think Indians generally realize what an enormous privilege it is, because in India and in Britain and in America, You can make a film about anything you please.
Yeah,
you can do, providing it doesn't come to create a great deal of friction in terms of sex. You see, we have sex restrictions in our country, which are different than they are here. But as in Japan is another place. But in France, for instance, you cannot make a film that will, a political film dealing with the army or the image of France. It will be censored. And so it's a rare privilege to, there are not many countries where this obtains.
But you see, as a director, I would say that I don't like to seem like a prophet in my films. You see, I don't want to state a point of view with, you don't hammer it, you see, so it doesn't sound too propagandist. But I want to present certain problems in a clear way so that people are made to think, made conscious of them.
Well, I think that's the essential difference, you know, to use the film as a source of stimulation. I might recommend a film, I don't know whether you saw it or not, perhaps you did. It was a film that I saw in England. It was made for the BBC. Now, I'm going to contradict myself. This film was made by a young fellow by the name of Peter Watkins.
Oh, this is War Game.
The War Game. And the British television would not allow that film to be shown on television.
And they commissioned it.
And they commissioned it.
Then they banned it.
Yes, and it was, I wept when I saw that film. Usually, you know, we go to see a film and we'll sit there and we'll say, oh yes, well, now what's going to happen? And yes, that's funny. You know, we take that attitude. We're not involved in it. But that film really reduced me to tears. And it was at some point I had to put my hand over my eyes. I couldn't look at it.
Where did you see it?
I saw it in England. And
in a theater?
No, I saw it in a private showing.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But they've exhibited the film now publicly.
I know.
But the German television, they tried to get it released to American television. Of course, they haven't been successful. But the German television company has talked to Peter about making a film of that kind for German television, which might break the precedent. And I'm very excited about that prospect. He's going to make a film about American Indians, and he's asked me to be.
Is that what he's working on now?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So it's an historical film. I think he's a...
Very gifted person, yes, I'm totally his friend. No, I didn't get a chance to see it, but Kenneth Tynan, I remember his review of the film, and he said it's the greatest film ever made.
Do you think that they'd be interested in seeing this film in India? And
I was just going to tell you that it was acquired by us for India, the War Game. It was shown to our President and Prime Minister, who both referred to it in broadcasts they made on the All India Radio Network. And we have acquired the film. We have bought it, and we are going to show it on television. I think perhaps it has already been shown. And certainly our film societies are going to show it. But I'm quite sure of that. We have acquired it for India. I'm surprised.
Oh, that's excellent. It's wonderful. Well, there you are. Quite sort of...
That's excellent. It would be interesting if this film were also exhibited in movie theaters.
And the commercial theaters. That's what's important, is to reach as wide a public as possible. Well, one thing I think I and all of us would very much like to know is how was it to work with Chaplin?
Mr. Chaplin is an artist. And he's a strange man, and he's unique in many ways. And it was a mixture of many things. Sometimes it was funny, sometimes it was tedious. Always it was under pressure because he worked all the time. He's a man of 76 years, and he is jumping up and down all the time. And actually, when you work with him, you just simply become a puppet. There was one scene where we were sitting at a table and someone was blowing smoke in my face. We're on this boat and I'm looking at this person, and this smoke is coming in my face. And I was waving the smoke away like this. And Charlie came running up to me and says, oh, no. He says, I don't like this two-finger business. He said, use all four fingers. So I said, no, right? So I used four fingers. But he plays every single part in the film, and he plays, yes, he'll act your part, and then he'll act your part, and decide what he's going to do, and then he'll jump back and play your part, and then he'll come over and answer his own interpretation, and it was interesting. I don't know how well the film will do, but
it hasn't. Has it played in the States?
No, it isn't. Hasn't played in the States. It got absolutely roasted They crucified the film. The English critics just went out after him with a hatchet.
Of course, and Chaplin.
And then in Paris, he got some very enthusiastic reviews. Some of them rave notices. But I don't know.
You work with any of the new younger American directors like Frankenheimer and... You haven't? You haven't worked with Kubrick?
No, I was going to work with... I wanted to work with Stanley, and we were making up this film.
One-Eyed Jack.
One-Eyed Jack, but we were already $300 already paying the actors, and we hadn't shot a foot of film because we're still writing it. And the actors were just standing by.
I was in Hollywood when Stanley was about to make One-Eyed Jack, and then of course you took over.
No, well, Stanley said, I said, listen, Stanley, we've got to make a decision about this. He said, well, I can't make a decision. The picture isn't done. And I said, well, I can't afford you not making a decision. And he said, well, then I've got to go do something else because I can't go any faster than I'm going. So,
well, did you enjoy directing?
No, it's too tedious. It's, you can't play, act.
Oh, yes, I see. Both the things.
Yeah, I'm much more interested in directing now than I am acting.
Oh, but not directing you, not yourself.
Not directing myself. It's too hard.
Probably, no.
You lose your perspective. Didn't you ever act?
No.
You don't have to say it like that. No, I agree with you.
No, it's better to be behind the camera. Again, it would be too tedious, you see.
Well, I suppose one must ask you in which film you have enjoyed acting most.
I think I enjoyed Mutiny on the Bounty because we got to go to Tahiti. And that's one of the benefits of being an actor. You're able to go to Japan and Europe.
Would you enjoy being able to go to India?
Yes, I enjoy it. Would I or did I?
Well,
I am here enjoying myself and extremely stimulated. And I've read a good bit about India, and then it's very interesting to read about a place and then come to it to see if the things gel and to meet people from India. But you know, everybody comes to New York and they're going to be a 3-day wonder and say, oh yes, I've been to America. And it's not descriptive of America at all.
By any means.
Nor as if I would go to Delhi or Bombay or Calcutta or Hyderabad, it would not be a clear indication of what it was. But if I were to go to the country and Lucknow or some of
the historical...
some of the smaller villages, and then I would... And I lived here.
Well, if you're in Calcutta, I'll certainly take you to some of the villages around the city or in Bengal.
You know, I wanted to ask you what you feel about the potential use of film in disseminating ideas.
Oh, I think it's the most powerful medium there is. Yes, that's why it's so dangerous. Because it's not propagating the right ideas, I think.
It is, but although it is dangerous, it's something that must never be censored. I mean, wherever you have the presence of a censor, you have the presence. We saw a film today called Face to Face, and at the end of the film, it was a film about Indian opinion, but it was the opinion of the guy who drives the taxi, or the man who polishes shoes, or the students and farmers, and it was the broad face of India, face to face with one another, and it was a very exciting.
I think it's one of the best things that's been done here.
And
I agree with you.
At the end, the last comment that was made was that the freedom of expression was the most precious gift there was to the government, that the Indian government offered its people, and I don't know whether that's, you know, you wonder sometimes whether the freedom of expression is equal to freedom to eat, or to have enough to eat, but I think it's even more important than that.
Do you think any perceptible change has come over the American films over the last, let's say, 20 years? Because everything is changing everywhere. The whole, I think, face of the cinema itself is changing. Style is changing.
Well, everything's changing.
Everything's changing.
I was...
do you regret the fact that, do you have any such feeling that the films in the 40s were much better than they are now? You know, some people say that.
No.
The good old days are gone, that sort of thing.
Well, I think that change is inevitable, and there's no sense in
regretting
or longing, having some kind of nostalgic feeling. It's gone, and we're getting older.
Something else will take its place.
Yes, and things, we might as well adjust to it. And I would like to see films, perhaps more. Now, you see, we have what they call the underground film movement in America.
Yes, Andy Warhol and the rest of them. What do you think of that?
Well, I think it's about time. But you see, America was asleep for years and years and years. We were asleep, and we said, oh, nothing can happen here, everything is fine, probably. And we're all well-fed and happy, and then suddenly we had an explosion of the Negro Revolution. And America was just absolutely taken back, because all we do is read in the paper about the revolution in Nicaragua or the riots in Delhi or something here, and then suddenly in our own country we're having race riots. We can't imagine the impact of that on the American people. And the participation of students was a very important thing, because students, for instance, changed the governments in many parts of the world, namely in Turkey, for instance. They absolutely took over and changed a bad government, replaced it with a better government. And the students in America, not too long ago, were listless and primarily indifferent. But now they're vital about the Vietnam War. They take a position about race prejudice and policies of the government and this, that, and everything. And they're into everything. And it's becoming a much more vigorous.
But at the same time, you have this phenomenon of Allen Ginsberg and his group, and the strange interest in the East, and even marijuana and drugs and LSD.
Yeah.
Because
it's still, in a sense, a pioneering nation, because we are, in a sense, the spearhead of the onslaught of the technological age. And all the miseries of the first miseries of the technological age will fall to us. As other nations come up, it'll fall to them. I'm sure there are community frictions that perhaps don't exist here at this moment, but they could explode, just as it happened in America. And we have, many problems to face. We always sort of, one tends to think of America as a forward nation or a developed nation, but actually we are backward in many respects, and we have much to learn from other countries. Certainly in the area of human relationships, we're trying to solve those problems, and we are bewildered by it. We're making progress, but it's...
and you think the cinema is sort of behind you and so on?
I think absolutely. Mr. Edward R. Murrow, who was the head of U.S. Information Service, came to us in Hollywood, and he invited everyone there, and he said that what you have and what you offer in this medium is of far more vital import than you will ever think. And the way you represent people in the film has to be given some thought to, because producers didn't care. They were dealing in stereotypes and Negroes who were educated and talented people were playing these menial parts. Or they refused to play them because they said them.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember that.
So that's on the way out now. And you have that kind of... I saw a picture, it wasn't an Indian picture, but it was closely allied culturally. And in this picture, they had this picture of a beggar, a guy pretending to be a beggar. And to me it was shocking that the audience should have laughed at it in the first place, or no, that the man should have played that in the first place, and he was crippled and twisted, and it was shocking to me that a joke was made of that kind of
No,
thing.
it's in very bad taste. I think it should go completely out of the whole thing. Maybe there's some remnants still left.
But on the whole, the picture is optimistic. Do you both agree as far as the cinema is concerned for the future?
I think it's vital. I think more and more, this machine, for instance, lost the election for Richard Nixon.
I wanted for Kennedy.
Yes, because when the camera, as you know very well, more than anybody else, comes in here, then you tell the actor, don't do anything, just be. Don't act, just think. Because the camera will see what you're thinking about.
Absolutely.
And that's what happened in America. The camera came in this close to Nixon's face, and he could see that he was, as the camera can see now. They can see exactly what goes on in my mind. And they saw his trickiness and his, his lack of assurance and his apprehension, whereas Kennedy was forward and assured, and all the political savants say the same thing about.
It's extraordinary medium.
It is, and the other thing is that politicians are now becoming actors, and actors are now becoming politicians. I mean, politicians always were actors, but they never admitted it. Now they have to put on their makeup and say, "Here I am, boy."
Yeah.
Well, as Satyajit said, so the cinema can be dangerous, but on the whole, it still remains a tremendous artistic form and a force for good. I hope you agree.
Oh, certainly.
When you're
With
going to
all
come
the
and
potential
visit
in the
us-
world. Huh?
What was you going to say? What did you say?
I said all the potential for the good in it.
But also for the bad, I think, too.
Well, it depends on how you use it. I mean, that's why the filmmaker is so important.
Remember that film that was made in Nazi Germany by this woman?
Leni Riefenstahl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Fantastically
Olympic
film. All for the sake of Nazism. When are you going to come and visit us?
Well, I don't know. One of these days, perhaps.
I hope you'll come and stay at my home. You'll be welcome there.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd be delighted.
I'm not saying it lightly. I really
I have many friends in Hollywood, actually, and I could look them up.
So may we end on this note that you're a guest in our country and you've asked Satyajit to be a guest in yours. We hope you'll come again here anyway.
Thanks,
and you've always